like the space I was meant to fill. They said I was special, chosen, wanted, loved. But every Christmas photo told the truth. One of these things didn't belong. And that thing was me. I was adopted at 3 days old into a warm house on Cedar Lane in suburban Ohio. Linda and Robert Taylor had struggled with infertility for 8 years before the twins came along, Amy and Ben, their miracle babies. 2 years later, they got the call about me. They said I completed the picture. But even as a child, I could sense something different in how they looked at me compared to my twin siblings. It wasn't less love, it was cautious love. Love with an asterisk. I wasn't part of the original picture. I was glued in later, and the seam was always visible if you knew where to look. At 6, I asked why I didn't look like anyone else in our family. Fair-skinned faces with light brown hair and Linda's blue eyes filled the photo albums. Then there was me, olive skin, dark curls, and deep brown eyes that held questions no one wanted to answer. Love is what makes a family, honey, Linda said carefully. Not how we look. It was the right answer. But it didn't explain why strangers assumed I was visiting when I called Linda Mom. At 8, I started noticing the stares in grocery stores. Curious ones. Eyes would move from Linda to Robert to the twins, then land on me with a slight tilt of the head. I began walking behind the family, hoping it would be less obvious that I didn't match. At Amy and Ben's 8th birthday party, a mother approached Linda while I was in the bathroom. Your kids are adorable. How wonderful that you're babysitting too. When I returned, Linda's smile was strained. She kept her hand on my shoulder the rest of the party, protective, but it made me feel more different, not less. At 10, I stopped asking questions. Because every time I did, Linda's smile faded, and Robert found urgent work in the garage. I never caused trouble. While Amy threw tantrums and Ben got suspended for pranks, I was the model child. Straight A's piano practice without reminders, room cleaned before being asked. I thought if I was perfect, maybe they'd forget I was different. Maybe I could earn my place. The piano became my sanctuary. By 12, I was playing Chopin and accompanying the church choir. Music was where I could disappear into something entirely mine. But perfection doesn't erase biology. It doesn't erase Sunday dinners where Robert's parents reached automatically for Amy and Ben while forgetting I existed. Then they'd include me with embarrassed smiles and afterthought pats on the head. Perfection didn't erase the family reunion where I spent the afternoon taking photos instead of being in them, because relatives kept asking, "Which one is yours again?" And perfection certainly didn't erase the night Ben and I fought over the TV remote and he screamed, "At least I actually belong here. You're just the charity case." The words hung in the air like smoke. Amy gasped. Linda dropped her dish. Robert looked up from his newspaper, but no one corrected him. No one. Ben apologized later, tears in his eyes. Linda talked to me about siblings saying hurtful things. Robert bought me ice cream. But that silence told me everything about my place in the family hierarchy. At 22, home from college for Christmas break, I was helping Robert organize his office. The letter was tucked behind tax documents from 2003, the year I was born. My name was written in unfamiliar handwriting. For Rachel when she's ready. Dear Rachel. Today is your first birthday and I'm crying over cafeteria cake in my dorm room at State. I wanted to bake you a real cake, but I can barely afford groceries. I was 17 when I got pregnant. Your father disappeared. My parents kicked me out. I lived in my car before the adoption agency found me shelter. I didn't want to give you up. Every fiber of my being screamed against it. But I was failing classes, working 3 jobs, barely keeping myself fed. You deserved better. I chose the Taylors because Linda cried talking about wanting another child. I begged them to let me write every birthday, just to let you know I was thinking of you. I'm studying to be a teacher. I wonder if you like to read, if you're stubborn like me, if you inherited my terrible sense of direction. I hope you're happy. All my love, Carmen Elena Rodriguez. There were 15 letters, 1 for each birthday. They chronicled Carmen's life, college graduation, first teaching job, marriage to Miguel, the birth of my half-sister Ana, then my half-brother Diego. Photos showed where my eyes came from, where my stubborn chin originated. Pictures of Ana and Diego, who shared my dark hair and olive skin. A family I'd never known I had. The last letter was dated 3 months ago, my 22nd birthday. My dearest Rachel, Anna just turned 16 and looks so much like you. She wants to study journalism. Diego is 14 and plays guitar. I wonder if you're musical too. I love you, Misha. I've loved you every single day for 22 years. Siempre tuya, Mama Carmen. I confronted them that night. I walked into the living room where Linda was wrapping presents, the letters clutched in my hands. Why was all I could manage? Linda saw the letters. Her face went white. Why didn't you tell me she wanted to know me? And you just kept it all? Robert set down his book. We were protecting you. From what? From knowing someone else loved me too? Linda started sobbing. We were scared you'd want to leave us for her. I was a child, but you took away my choice to know where I came from. We wanted you to feel like you fully belonged here. Robert said quietly, love doesn't hide the truth. I told them, my voice breaking. Love walks through it. The conversation was the most honest we'd ever had. Linda admitted her terror, terrified they'd mess up parenting, an adopted child, terrified I'd resent them, terrified love wouldn't be enough. Robert confessed he'd wanted to give me the letters multiple times, but couldn't explain why they'd waited. We thought if we just loved you enough, it wouldn't matter that you didn't come from us. Linda said, but it does matter. Not because I love you less, but because it's part of who I am. The next week, I called Carmen. We talked for 3 hours, that first call. Meeting Carmen and my half-siblings was like looking into a mirror I'd never known existed. Anna had my laugh. Diego had my stubborn streak. Carmen had my eyes, my hands, my tendency to cry during commercials. The integration wasn't without challenges. Linda struggled with jealousy. Robert worried about divided loyalties. Amy and Ben felt protective of their parents. Family therapy helped us understand that families can expand without anyone losing their place. You're not replacing anyone, Dr. Peterson told me. You're adding chapters to your story. Now I'm 34, married to Daniel with a daughter named Sophia Grace Taylor Rodriguez. Every day I tell Sophia where she comes from, all of it. She knows she has 2 grandmothers who love her, that families can be built in beautiful, unconventional ways. When Sophia asks questions, I answer honestly. Last month, she announced, Tyler says I can't have 2 abuelas, but I told him love doesn't follow rules. She's right. I teach piano now. One student is a 7-year-old adopted boy named Kevin. Miss Rachel, will my new parents keep me forever? He asked. I stopped playing and faced him. Kevin, I was adopted too. And you know what? Sometimes it felt complicated, but I always belonged in my family. Just like you belong in yours. Even when I mess up, especially when you mess up. The Taylors loved me the best way they knew how. Carmen loved me by letting me go, then waiting 22 years. Both loves were real. Both shaped me. To truly belong, you don't have to match the photo. You don't have to fill a predetermined space. You just have to be seen, really seen, in all your complicated, beautiful humanity. Last Christmas, we had our first combined family photo. 21 people crowded into Carmen's living room, sharing stories in English and Spanish. Looking at that photo, I can see what I couldn't see in childhood pictures. I was never the thing that didn't belong. I was the bridge, the connection between worlds. The reminder that families can be built in unconventional ways. The little girl who felt glued into the picture was wrong. I wasn't an addition to someone else's story. I was the beginning of a completely new chapter.